I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you all for being here, and we will start out with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just a reminder, there's a sign-in sheet up front if you'd like to sign in. And do we have any revisions?
The only revision I would tell you at this time, if you would add G under Superintendent's Report, I would just like to give a brief report about the Irvin High Night and the activities that took place this past Monday night. But other than that, everything else is good. All the items of action are good to go.
Well, we will start off with our recognitions, and first we have our mountain movers.
Okay. Well, our first mountain mover, and we usually start with our community mountain mover first. And tonight we're proud to honor Hardy Oil as our community mountain mover. Hardy Oil opened in 1973 and been in business for 45 years. Here's just some of the things that they are responsible for in terms of helping our school district. They do the Hardy Oil Scholarship, the Engineer Pump, Hardy Oil Classics, sport team sponsorships. They participate in elementary career events, employee volunteer programs, and they also serve on numerous community boards. And we're very proud to be a partner with Hardy Oil in our community. And I think, Butch, you're here. My daughter. Daughter, come forward, please. And Miss Rhonda, I'll ask you to present. Come on over here, guys.
Okay. I'd like to comment on that Urban Night. That was great. And I went up to Tom Bonney and I asked him, I said, "Are you responsible for this?" And he said, "No, you were." So I tell you, I spent 5 years in grade school at Urban Grade. And I knew most of those people. And it was really a good thing you did for our community.
Well, I'd say it was just basically my ideal, but the people at the high school, they did a lot of hard work to put that together, and very supportive, so.
Thank you. Okay. That was good together. Okay, that's fine.
Let me say, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I'm going to plug that pump over there. It's going to produce about $4,000 to $5,000 a year for the Athletic Association. So I'll just put a plug in for you.
That's awesome.
And if you don't care, we're gonna give you the Medal of Excellence, and you can hang that. A lot of people are hanging it on their Christmas trees. We appreciate what you all do for us, we really do.
Thank you much. Yes, sir.
Our next mountain mover, and he's not able to be with us tonight, but it's a Mr. Blake Crow, and he teaches Algebra 2 at the high school, and he's in his 4th year of teaching. Blake says he enjoys making positive impacts on his students, whether it be on them as a professional or on a personal level. He just wants to be able to connect with his kids, and Blake is with his family tonight. They had some family plans, but we're very appreciative of what Blake does for our students at Estill County High School. And Mr. Beckley, I'll ask you to come up. Sorry, usually I kill that. Looks like my big Kiwanis. They're missing me tonight. If you'll come up, please. And our classified mountain mover is Flo. Flo, if you'd come up. Flo is a custodian at Estill County Middle School. She's been employed at Estill County Board of Education for 14 years, and she's worked in every building the district owns. Flo says she likes the people she works with through the whole district, and she loves kids and treats them the way she wants her own kids to be treated. Flo, we're thankful for you and what you do for our kids every day.
I'm thankful to have job at home, and good people to work with.
We're happy to have you, and we want to present you also with the Medal of Excellence for what you do for our kids. Thank you so much. At this time also, I want to recognize we've got two outgoing board members. And of course, as always, we want to recognize our board members for their service to our community. Mr. Bicknell is not able to be with us tonight, but we have a plaque to honor his 8 years of service to the board. But Mr. Beckley, he is with us, and LW, I'd ask you to come up, and I'd like to present you with a plaque this evening that says for 4 years of board service from 2015 to 2018. And it says for outstanding dedication and leadership, exemplifying continued judgment and initiative that will benefit our district for many decades to come. And LW, we're appreciative for your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And before we move on, we've got Miss Jennifer Palmer. She's here, and she has some recognitions for our board members as well. And I've already got mine, so I got mine yesterday when I went and saw them.
We were talking in class one day, and I don't remember how it came up, but how the board members keep us safe and help support us and hire us and keep us our jobs and everything. And our children, we just wanted to make something for you and tell you how much we appreciate you all. And Lisa Reese, we have one for you too, as being our preschool coordinator. So, thank you all for everything you do. We appreciate it. The kids really enjoy making these.
You're gonna make us cry.
Oh, don't cry, it's a happy thing.
And y'all need to open them now. You're gonna be
Yeah.
thrilled.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I tried to get around to all the schools yesterday and visit with the kids, and I just happened to walk into Miss Palmer's classroom. And that's all her kids,
Sweet.
and all of the months are handprint.
Oh, precious.
And I've cried enough today. I don't need to cry anymore.
And they're absolutely wonderful. And then the last month, I believe in December, is all their thumbprints. So it's something that's already hanging on my wall upstairs for this coming year. And if we ever forget, sometimes with all the things that you deal with sometimes, that right there is what it's all about. Those kids are the graduates of,
I don't know.
well, if we put 13 years on it, it will be 31, 20, it's 2018 now, so 2031 or 2032, the graduates of 2032 right there.
Wow.
But that's precious.
Can my kids come back to preschool?
Okay. And next on the agenda, we have closed session, so I need a motion to go into closed session. there. I don't know her, but
Good. I'm not sure if it was us or the last day of school for her.
Let us know when you're ready, Jeremy.
okay. Next on the agenda, we have facilities.
I mean, he's not ready.
He gave me a thumbs up.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry. He is ready.
We have construction update.
We better be, we're not waiting on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Shoo. Got out of that one. All right. I didn't bring the, grab that agenda real quick. All right, so, the first thing that I'm here to do is thank you guys for letting me come and speak in. If you, have any questions on the progress of the projects currently underway, I'll be happy to answer any of those for you this evening. First thing that we have tonight on the agenda, if you will, is the pay application for Estill Springs renovation.
Number 6.
Yep. And the design team has reviewed this application, and we find it reflects work that has been completed and installed, and we would recommend approval of this pay application.
98% complete.
Yeah,
Will be done 3 months ahead of schedule. They'll be done probably by next board meeting. They'll be substantially finished.
yeah, we were talking about having our last progress meeting next month, so they have been doing some really good work out there.
New doors out front went in today. Awning's
Looks really
done,
good.
fence is gone. Roofing is the next thing come along, and you're gonna get a good report on roofing too, so
Yeah.
it's a good thing. My recommendation, approve the pay application 6 with the DPO summary.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Ms. Felicia, so you'll know, Mr. Beckley made the motion to come out of executive session, and Ms. Neese seconded that motion. Go back to regular session. Sorry, I didn't tell you that when you first come in.
All right, so the next item up that I have for you tonight is change order number 8, and this is for Estill Springs renovation. This has to do with the VCT tile right as you enter the building in the center of our pattern there. The district has requested that we look at putting in a water jet cut VCT Flying E logo in the middle, and I think there was an image that I sent in with the paperwork for the packet this time. We got the contractor to get pricing, and the cost is $3,085 to get the logo installed, and we think that pricing is acceptable.
It is the Flying E logo. It started out at $5,000, and I just said, no way, we're not paying that. And so we have been able to negotiate that price down to a more reasonable price. And it's really the finishing touch of the tile work there in the front lobby. It'll be something you'll be proud of to have. And for $3,000, it's a little bit of a luxury item, but it's gonna be something that you'll be proud of. And just so you'll know also, there'll be another change order coming next time, but it's gonna be a deductive change order for $31,000, which will be a credit back to the school district, because we're not gonna be able to move forward with the floor work that we wanted to do in the kitchen because of warranties and stuff for those items that's in that kitchen. We were gonna have to break them down, break that entire kitchen down, pull it out of there, try to get it fixed and get it back. It was just too much. We didn't wanna void warranties for equipment. We'll go a different direction. We'll save a bunch of money there. We'll end up probably spending about $4,000 or $5,000 there instead of the 31 when it's all said and done. If we do it in-house, which I think we can even do it in-house, it won't cost us $3,000. So, I'm telling you that to let you know that we've got a huge credit coming. 3,000 might be a little bit of a luxury, but that's still a lot better than the 5,000 we started.
Right, and I forgot to mention that in installing this logo, we also had to do a little bit of electric work to get rid of a floor box there. So it's not all just tied up into the VCT flooring. There was some electrical runs that needed to be capped off and reestablished in the main lobby area there.
My recommendation is to approve that change order.
I'll make that motion. We have a second. Okay. Any discussion?
I'm not for spending $3,000 for luxury items, so. But, I mean, I'm sure it looks nice, but.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
All right, our next item is the pay application and DPO invoicing for the Estill County roof replacements project. Again, the design team has reviewed the pay application and the DPOs, and we find that it represents work that has been installed and completed at the middle school, and a little bit that has been completed at Estill Springs, and we would recommend approval.
As do I.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, the next item, my famous tabled item from last month, went back to the office and made sure that I brought all of the information with me this time on this particular change order. This has to do with circumstances regarding the production and the delivery of the metal roof panels for the middle school and Estill Springs, and it was significantly delayed over the course of the summer. And we, in talking with the district and in looking at things, we felt like the new start date was pushed about 129 days due to the late delivery of this metal panel system. And so we needed to change the substantial completion date, not just for the middle school, which is what I came with last time, to January 24th, 2019, but also the substantial completion date for Estill Springs Elementary, which will now be adjusted to April 11th, 2019. This is a $0 change order. It is just an extension of time.
And that is a reasonable request by the contractor, so I do recommend the approval of that change order.
Do we have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Just so you'll know, they're 95% done with the tear off. There's just a little portion that's needed to be torn off. That will be done this weekend. They're working Saturday, Sunday, and Monday on that project because that's a weather, maybe not Saturday, now they're giving rain again, but they will be working Sunday and Monday. Merry Christmas to you. But they've been that way this whole time. Whenever they've been able to work, they've been there. They're 80% done with the metal. They'll have to tie up the ridge caps and the guttering and stuff like that, but they're probably on track to be done by the January 24th date. If things go well in January, they could very well be complete on time. They do have some weather days coming if needed. I'm not inclined to jump out there and give them a bunch of weather days right now because they're proceeding on schedule. If they can get done, there might not be a reason to give them weather
Correct,
days.
and the fact that they've been able to get as far along as they have with the weather is a credit to that particular contractor.
Yeah, I mean, if they can be done by the 24th, there's not a lot of need to give them weather days on the middle school project. That's sort of the point I was trying to make today,
Correct.
because the weather days would be for the middle school project.
Right. Yeah, that would make
That
the most
makes,
sense.
to me,
yes.
that makes common sense, that
Right.
you don't give them weather days, it pushes back spring start date if they're finished. So, but
Right.
anyway.
Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do with you guys tonight is have you consider revised schematic plan for the Area Technology Center. a few months ago.
So we'll skip 3 and
Okay.
let Peter go, and then we'll come back to
Okay.
it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
I didn't.
While you're going, let's keep,
Okay, okay.
let's keep going.
So, you know, I'm trying to think of how many months ago we were here talking about a schematic design. In the interim, we've had a few changes that have been made to it, and so we thought it would be best to get your all's approval on that again before we went to the Kentucky Department of Education to have them review the plans. So I just sort of wanted to walk you through what the revisions were this evening. And on the site plan, there wasn't a whole lot that we did that was different from what you all saw before. I think one significant thing that we did was we pulled circulation out for the middle school parent loop out of the Area Technology Center parking lot itself. And other than that, I think you're seeing something that's very similar. You will notice that in the previous schematic, we kind of had a slanted front, geometric front. And if you haven't seen this plan yet, things have been squared off at the front of this building. And when I get into the floor plans, I'll show you that how that changed and how that's really been a good sort of efficient and economical move as well. But those are the two things that I would mention on the site plan, and I'm supposed to make that.
And so you all notice too, we have separated the traffic from middle school to high school
Yeah.
to try to alleviate some of the traffic congestion that we have there. The only thing on the site plan, we have added additional parking in front of the high school because the ATC parking will now be in front of the building, which is a lot that the high school uses a lot right now. I do think, Peter, at one point in time, as we move forward with this project, I do think we could examine this area right here to see parking is always an issue at both of those schools, whether it's for athletic events or graduation or whatever.
Okay.
I would like to explore the possibility, and I don't know what it would cost, we could, if we decided to move forward that, we could do it like as an alternate bid to see what a parking lot,
Right.
because that will be a flat area there.
Up there it will, once you get, that's up, once you've climbed.
I mean, it might add some additional parking that might be, really needed, to be honest. And it would be easy to come off that parent loop traffic, driveway to make an entrance into that. But other than that, I think we've done a lot of things there to clean that up. Do y'all have any questions about the site plan? You do have a place out front for bus traffic, to drop students off that are riding buses from Powell County or Madison County or Lee County, wherever a student may come to this facility. They will now have drop-off in front of the building. And we'll be able to do that, and that bus can loop back around and go right back out the parking lot and leave.
So there's no way of driving from the middle school down to the hospital?
No.
So the parents.
Not until you get
parents
up.
drop off the middle school and swing, what I do right now, swing through the hospital, so you have to come back onto the main engineer drive.
You'll have to come back on the engineer drive in
Right.
order to do so.
Or they can walk.
We are going to have a walk, as you can see, there's a sidewalk right in front of the high school. So as you come right here to drop off, this sidewalk that's coming right here to the high school, you can drop your child right here that's going to high school. They just gotta walk 30 feet
Right.
to get to the awning and then go on up and then drop your middle school child off. And the parent drop off for the middle school will now be at the cafeteria area, which is a lot cleaner area. That's a holding area for middle school students until it's time to go to class. So it really makes for a lot better, cleaner situation there.
Yeah, because that coming off the hill currently
I know,
is a
it
chaos
makes
in the
me-
morning.
'cause there's
It's
buses coming this
chaos.
way.
You got
Yeah.
buses coming.
They're
and
going
that's-
different.
walking.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the whole reason of, you're still gonna have buses coming, but you're not gonna have every bus coming because of the additional bus garage traffic too, so.
Right.
But I think that's a pretty clean plan that we've been able to work with, and that's about the third or fourth
It is.
try
Yes.
with that, so.
Mhm. It is.
It's cleaned up rather nicely.
All right. All right, so inside the building, most of what I'll be talking about here is just sort of right up here in the front of the building as far as major changes. And, you know, like I said, we used to have this sort of slanted entry in with a stair over here, as well as a stair here. And one of the things the district asked us to do was to look at moving the adult education spaces down to the first floor, which is what has been done here. It was a nice, efficient move for that, with a possible entry for evening classes or for adult ed classes coming in there. This reception would serve, though, as a reception for the whole building, as well as for adult ed if need be. And we got rid of the second stair, which led to a really nice, more efficient footprint. Saved about 1,000 square feet by configuring it this way, which is a pretty significant drop in costs for the district as well. So everything else sort of beyond that front. So you have your records room and your reception down here, and a couple of restrooms that would serve the adult ed area of the building. This door could control traffic if you didn't want people who were there for adult ed to, in the evenings, to get into the rest of the building.
The whole ideal being with adult ed is that before adult ed students were gonna have to enter the building, go upstairs, and not the fact that you don't want them to have access to the building, but a lot of times students are, you know, adults that are going to adult ed, they want a little bit of privacy. They want to have the ability to come and go, be a little bit private. Some people are embarrassed because they're going back. They shouldn't be. They're making the best move of their life, but we just know what the facts are. So this allows for them to come into the building. They don't have to, you know, enter with everybody else. They sort of have their own restrooms, so they can sort of be in that area. And it allows for you to have adults in the building while you still have students in the building and still have security. And that's what's really nice about that. And you had the cost savings there, and because of moving it downstairs, now when he goes upstairs, you're gonna have cost savings on square footage as well. And because of those changes there, it resulted in about a $500,000 price reduction on the facility by the time we made those changes.
Any questions about adult education before I move upstairs? I can always bounce back. So upstairs, the vast majority of this space stayed exactly the same. You know, the pedway would come in over here to the central part of the building, but the diesel lab, the construction technology lab, and the engineering lab, and the advanced manufacturing lab were all exactly as they were before. The balance of the admin moved upstairs, right? So you have your principal's office and your conference room, and a small reception with a restroom for admin there, which is a nice monitor for your activity on the second floor as well. So, any questions on that? That's the balance of what a schematic design needs to be. If it's something that you all approve, it's something that we can move forward with the Department of Education, and also get moving on, you know, design development for the project.
And again, altogether, those changes resulted in about a loss of 2,000 square feet, which ended up a $500,000 savings. So,
I make a motion, we approve it. I like to save money.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Great, thank you all.
Come a long way since that first meeting.
Isn't it though? It's great, yeah. All right, so my last item for you guys tonight has to do with looking for your approval for us to submit an early site and structural foundation set to the housing, building, and construction people in Frankfurt. And if you'd like, I'll be happy to open this for you and give you an idea of, it's a lot of structural sheets. It's a handful of site sheets. It's our code analysis sheet, and basically, by getting this review set to Frankfurt before the end of this year, we're going to be able to ensure that the project gets reviewed under the current building code for the state. And that is important from a financial standpoint for this particular project. And so we want to make sure that we can get it up there and get it on the dockets and get a record set for this particular project. And that's essentially the other really good thing, is that we've been able to compile a lot of really great information that will provide us an opportunity for an early site package, which could get this particular project underway, before, even before summer, if that's the way that the district wants to roll, so.
Just to lay this out for you, there is a lot of momentum right now for us to proceed. I've received a call today. We will be getting a letter from the House of Representatives stating that they support this project in terms of financing the operations for this project, which is what we've been seeking. We had Senate approval. That letter is supposed to be mailed out tomorrow from Frankfurt. With that, if we can get this early site package approved, we could possibly go to bid just on that site package, which would allow foundation work to begin somewhere in March or April. Probably April, March is a little early. The whole ideal is that we're looking at about a 15 to 16 month project. If we get that started early, that means that they can start building construction in June. And our goal is to open this facility instead of in August of 21, our goal is to open it in August of 20, which will be not next fall, but the following fall. So that means our students that are currently sophomores will be able to attend this facility their senior year, which is a year ahead of schedule is what we wanted. Also, to get this under current codes, and LW, you'll like this, and I think you'll probably make the motion. For us to get this under current code, it will save us somewhere between $750 to $1 million by getting this approved tonight and getting it to HBC tomorrow morning in Frankfurt. So not only are we gonna be able to start earlier, this in itself is gonna save us close to a minimum of $750,000 on this project. So my recommendation is to approve it and let's move forward. Didn't want to put pressure on you, but you said you'd like to save money.
But I hate to be predictable, so I'm not making a motion.
Thank you, Judy Jo. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Go second.
Any discussion?
I'm predicting.
All in favor?
Great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Deliver our Christmas present to Frankfurt in that bag right there.
Yeah, I'm taking it in the morning, so.
Unless y'all want to see the depth of footers and
No.
how much concrete and all that.
Okay, we're going to go back up to 3 to the bus
Yes.
garage update.
During the executive session, we have discussed the possibility of a purchase of a piece of property. I think at that time we can make public the piece of property that we're talking about because in order for us to move forward, it takes a public vote on that matter. We have, as you know, since the industrial park site has fell through because of soil conditions, we have honestly pursued 2 or 3 different avenues in terms of a place that we could relocate our bus garage. Then an opportunity has presented itself that would possibly allow the school district not only to have the property to build a bus garage, but would also maybe put the school district in a position in the future that if we do need to build a new middle school 20-some years from now, we would have the property to do so. Once Estill Springs, we're on a final renovation of Estill Springs. It's probably good for another 30, 35 years. And I won't be here 35 years from now, so you'll know, but at 35 years from now, there would be available property to possibly build an elementary school on this site. The site that we're discussing is the property that is directly across the street from Estill County High School and Estill County Middle School right now. There's a total of 106 acres that is across the road. There's another 20 acres that is on the same side of the road where the high school and the middle school sits now. It's approximately 120 acres of property, could be anywhere from 120 up to 160 based on PBA. We have negotiated a price, and the board just has to make a decision. Right now, the purchase price for that property, for full disclosure, would be $225,000 plus the commission on the sale, which is a little bit over $13,000. So the total cost of that purchase of property would be $238,000 and some change. If the board decides to purchase it, then there's a lot of hoops that we've got to jump in order for that property approval to be approved by KDE. We do have a signed memorandum of agreement by the property owners that is stating that they will sell the property to us, so now it comes down to the board's decision. I know sometimes somebody might say, why are we gonna buy 120, 160 acres of property? As you know, in this whole process, when we were looking for a place to build the tech center, when we were looking for a place to originally put the bus garage, and then when that fell through, all this different time, we have had difficulty trying to locate property in order to build something. Not only will this allow us to build a bus garage, but it allows for the future expansion of our school district. In terms of whether or not you want to build a new athletic complex, you want to build a new middle school at some point in time, you're going to have a new middle school in the next 25 years, 20 to 25 years. You will have to have a new middle school. At some point in time, you will have to have a new elementary school. As long as future boards of education holds on to that piece of property and doesn't sell it off, this sets the Estill County school system for years to come. So I do think it's a good purchase. I do think it's something that the board should consider. My recommendation to you all would be that we would move forward with all of the process that we would need to do in order to purchase this piece of property. That's my recommendation.
Do we have a motion? We have a motion, do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Abstain.
With that approval, just so the public will know, basically what we do at this point is that you'll be contacting probably Greg in the morning to let him know that the board has made a vote to purchase that piece of property. We'll finalize the documents with the owners to be in agreement. They do understand that there are a bunch of hoops that we have to jump. And thank goodness that we jumped those hoops at the industrial park. If we hadn't have, we would have got in the middle of a piece of property that we would have cost us $1 million. So we'll follow all the KDE guidelines and procedures that take a little while. Sometime here in the next, maybe not the January meeting, but definitely by the February meeting, we're gonna have a good idea of where we're at with that. And at that point in time, you will just need to identify where, if the property purchase goes through, you'll have to identify where you wish to place that bus garage. And there are 2 viable sites that we've talked about. That's now public record. If anybody does want to see any of that, we'll make sure to get it out there. Thanks. Thank you all.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments about this, and this is not something that's been taken lightly. We have spent hours of our time driving the county, the community, talking to people, trying to find options for this. The same goes with the plans for the Votech Center, the plans for the bus garage. I have been in meeting after meeting, And these things we've tried to put thought into, and this is not something that we've taken lightly. We have considered it a very important project that we wanted it done right. And I'm super excited to move forward. Mr. Saylor has led us through this entire process. Our architects and our construction crew have been with us every step, and this honestly has been a battle. And I'm super excited to move forward with it.
Good things are happening in this school district, so.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the CDIP and CSIP reports.
Miss Lisa? I don't think Lisa is gonna read every report to you unless you want every report read to you. You've had the opportunity to view it. I know LW doesn't want you to read every report,
This is my
here this last
report.
meeting.
I mean, I want to drag this out on.
No, Lisa's not gonna read every report, and normally Tanya Isaacs would be taking care of this, but due to her health conditions that she's recently experienced, you have me. So inside your packets, you have copies of the school CSIPs, and you have the district, the CDIP. CSIP, Comprehensive, School Improvement Plan, same thing for the district. We sometimes use those acronyms and things. But anyway, this, you also have, not only do you have a copy of the CSIP and CDIP, but you also have a one-pager, okay? That one-pager Tanya fixed to just kind of summarize what we're doing. Both the CDIP and the CSIPs is a very collaborative process. We work to establish and address the priority needs that we have, determine our process for closing the achievement gap, and looking at our subgroups of different students. And I'm not gonna read all this to you, just let you know that we are continuing on the same path, with the exception of, under that first column, practice, students own their learning. We are going to do a pilot session with West Urban Intermediate. It's a CCI process. It's continuous classroom improvement. If you have questions about that, I know that Ms. Arvin would be willing to jump in here and help, but that's an extension to where our path is leading us. So if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
And that is the next big thing. That is the next step, you know, in terms, we have teachers doing continuous improvement processes in each of their building through their 30, 60, 90-day plans and their PLC process when they develop their 30, 60, 90-day plans. Now, this is taking it down on the student level. This is where students start owning their own learning and their own abilities, and where they know what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are. And even though we're starting at West Irving,
That's what I was getting ready to say. We're good. Our goal
yeah,
is for all.
our goal is that it will go everywhere. And I can tell you the middle school is already doing some of those things. At the high school and middle school both, we have to institute a new individual learning plan for those students as they're moving forward into high school and on into graduation. So that is part of this same process that students are gonna basically own. They have to own their own learning. It has to be important to them as well. So it's a very important step. Each of these plans are written around these three arching
Yes.
columns here. So I think that if there's any questions, like I said, Ms. Arvin can answer them. Lisa can answer process questions if you have any, and if not, then we will ask for your approval on those, and my recommendation would be to do so, with one caveat. South Irvin technically does not have to do one, but we ask every school in the district to do one. They're just not finished with theirs yet. They will have it here in January, but it won't hold up our reporting to the state because it's not actually due at the state deadline like the rest of them are. You already have the Success Academy in there. It's not technically due as well, but we want to hold all of our schools accountable, so you will have something from South Irvin next
Even
time.
though she didn't read everything word for word, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept this.
Motion, do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
I just had a question about how the parents receive feedback about this. How do the parents receive feedback about this?
At West, we have talked with our WIC group, our PTO group, so they've had a part and knowledge of what is going on through all of this. We also work through our SBDM committee. We honestly try to reach out to our community often through surveys and things like that to make sure their input and their voice is heard. It is limited, but that is how we involve them in the process.
Sounds good.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have our audit report.
Wallace is here to present your audit report. I will tell you this afternoon, we received an email from KDE that our audit has been reviewed and considered complete. So you all will want to take one of those.
Maggie Miller will be the presenter, but I'll enter any questions.
So my name is Majel Miller, and I'm a CPA and partner at the firm as well. Wallace is too. I don't know if you paid attention, but the audit's got a little thicker since last year. We had a new standard that went into effect, and it increased the notes and some of the disclosure statements that had to be included within the audit. Won't go through the entire thing, but I'll point out a couple things that if I was on a board, I would want pointed out to me. So if you'll open it up right past the table of contents, that very first letter, that's our letter. And pretty much probably the most important paragraph is on that second page of the letter at the top. And that's our opinion on the audit, which says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position, the governmental activities, business type activities, and each major fund and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Estill County School District. That's a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion you can get in an audit. So that's obviously what you wanted to get. I'll kind of jump a little bit and skip some pages because I just don't think that all of this is, a lot of it's boilerplate. It's your numbers. You've seen your budgets. You've looked at these things, but a couple things to point out on page 8. Page 8 is the government-wide financial statements, and I had mentioned to you that we had that new standard that increased the work and the size of the audit. That's changed this financial statement a little bit. So if you ever compare this statement with a prior statement in another audit for Estill County, the numbers will look pretty different. And that's mainly because right there towards the middle, there was a thing now called net OPEB liability. A few years back, we had the pension liability that had to be added to your audit. I'm sure whoever presented it kind of brought that to your attention that, we added that huge number for a pension shortfall that Frankfurt has. And every district, every governmental entity had to add their shortfall to their audit. Now we have a new thing called other post-employment benefits that must be added as well. Estill County's pension, just kind of put it in perspective, Estill County's pension liability was $7.6 million as actuarial computed on June 30th. The OPEB liability is $8.5 million. And that's, the pension liability is obviously CERS. KTRS is not included on the audit. It's in the notes as well. And that's $84 million. But Wallace, you can explain a little bit. You did the work on the OPEB. Just tell them what that is so they know
Well,
what the difference
OPEB
is.
is other post-employment benefits, which every teacher, everybody with CERS gets health benefits, and teachers get life benefits. Now, basically, all this is to pay for the health benefits when they retire. The state actually pays the life benefit, but this number has both a KTRS component and a CERS component because the school is liable for the KTRS part of it.
Where they're not of the pension part. But in a nutshell, it makes this statement hard to compare to your prior statements and prior audits, because this standard, added $8 million of liability that wasn't on there in prior years. So nothing we can do about that. That's an effort of transparency and this is nationwide. This is not Kentucky specific, school specific. All governmental entities across the nation are having to put their liability problems on their financial statements. So that's what that's about. We'll kind of jump to page 12. And page 12 is the financial statement. It's the P&L without all that liability stuff. This is more of a relevant financial statement for you as a governing board, because this is your governmental funds. These are the funds you work in every day. Doesn't have those fixed assets on there and those liabilities on there. Schools aren't selling buildings. That's not what you're in the business for. So that takes all of that out. It's another way to present your financials. This is the one that's probably more relevant. Obviously, you got 2 in there. We have to put 2 in there to give you a clean opinion. So I just kind of, as a board, I know that you're not accountants probably. So I want you to understand these reports when you look at them, just a little bit anyway, I guess. We'll jump to page 18, which might, page 18 is the start of the notes. Most of these are boilerplate, so, it's really just a lot of information about the district and how disclosure, the numbers are disclosed or tabulated and that kind of stuff. But as a board, I think probably the most important note for you all is on page 24. And I point this out to boards so that we're all on the same page. When we go to an audit, the very first thing we look at is your minutes of these meetings. And so we're looking for things in those minutes that affect your financial statements and that affect the audit itself. So when you use words, and I have them bold printed down here, when you use words like non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, or unassigned, and most of the time you hear boards using restricted and committed, mostly. We're looking for that in those minutes, and I tell boards all the time, know what those mean, because when you use those words and we see them, they mean something to us, and we need to make sure we're on the same page. So when you commit something, it means completely different than when you restrict something. And so if I was a board member, I'd rip that page out or copy it and know what those mean, so that when whoever is auditing you, and that's not our firm, that's every firm, those words mean something to your CPAs, okay? And so as far as the notes go, I think that's just an important part of the notes for you as a board, to understand that lingo that we look for in an audit. Next, we'll jump all the way to the back. Go to page 84. And basically, you do have a clean opinion. We have no district findings. District findings would be at the district level, the monies are coming in through EFTPS, wire transfer. They're coming in non-cash form usually. Had no district findings. As far as school level findings goes, in school level findings, keep in mind that's the activity funds at each school. All of those are coming in through those. Income streams are coming in through bake sales, car washes, those kind of things, the clubs and the sponsorships. And so we look at each school individually. In the prior year, you had 3 write-ups on your school level. Now, we're looking for our POs in place, our signatures there, are they checking off this and marking that? And so we're looking at all that stuff on the school level to make sure that those things are done. So this year, you only had 1 write-up, so that, you fixed some problems that you had last year at the school level, and so that's pretty good. It's hard when you're looking at the schools to understand what, just to put it in perspective, the Red Book dictates what these schools have to do, as far as the POs that are required, signatures, principals have to sign, not initial bank statements, that, there's all kinds of things that have to be done. And you're talking about coaches, teachers who are trying to maintain, safety of students and all that, and they're taking up money for milk, and if you're in 3rd grade or above, you have to sign the paper. So we're looking for all that. Are they getting those signatures? Are they doing all that they're supposed to? So, making, giving the training and the knowledge to your teachers, your coaches, your bookkeepers and principals to let them know what they need, that is expected of them, as far as the financial status of their bank accounts go, is important, and that's what that last page is. So you actually, did better this year as far as the write-ups go. You only had 1 at 1 school, and I don't think that was a major incident. It was just something we see that could be worked on and done better, okay? If you guys have any questions, try to make that quick. It's a big audit, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. You're welcome to call our firm anytime if you have questions as well. But, you know, the main important thing is clean opinion, and the audit, I guess, was accepted by KDE. Is that what you all said today? Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
I'll give you all a copy of that as well.
Okay.
This came from Nicole Van over
Okay,
today.
I'll put it in the file. We just need one. I'll put it in our file.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
I've got extras.
Okay. So if you don't have any questions, I appreciate you all allowing us to perform the audit. You know, we appreciate being able to come out and do this. We audit 14, I think, school districts, 14, yeah, and you know, it's nice to come out and get to know you all and perform this audit. We appreciate the opportunity to do that. If you need, you know, if you have questions, if you have issues, I mean, we're a phone call away if you need something, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
So the board knows we are at the end of our 3-year contract as well, so they're aware we will be submitting RFPs probably here in January.
Okay.
So y'all be on the lookout.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
all
Have a
for
Merry Christmas.
Merry
too.
Christmas to you all. Be safe going home.
Thank you.
And as we discussed some last time, just moving forward on this, and we'll need a motion to accept this audit report. As we move forward, we will, Angie and I are communicating a lot closer this year, really keeping track of budget items, and we meet monthly to try to do that. We had some issues with a encumbrance this time that it took us a little while to clear off the books, and the problem is that once Munis rolls over, then you can't go back. It's almost like you get one shot, and once it rolls over, you can't go back, so it's really hard to correct that. We've got a long paper trail with KDE where that issue was trying to be corrected all the way back to September. And then we get up to November, and we just failed to communicate a little bit, but we were on the conference call with KDE on Tuesday. Both the audit is clean, the AFR is in agreement. So we're cleared in terms of our financial report, and now on to the next big thing is that Angie's got to have a January 1 draft budget. Believe it or not, it is time to have a draft budget for the FY20 school year. It never ends, it just keeps coming. Thank you, as long as those yellow buses roll and kids get on them, we will have school, so it just keeps going. So my recommendation is to approve this audit. Is after much worry, it is a clean audit, and you have nothing to worry about in terms of the finances of this school district.
Do we have a motion? Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Moving along, we have consent items.
Just real quick, I'll go through those real quick. We'll take one motion to approve all of them. You have the November minutes. Does anybody have any issues with the minutes at all? Felicia always does a good job. She'll hand them to me, and I hand them back to her and say, they're good to go. Are you sure? I said, yeah, they're good to go. I mean, she does a great job keeping our minutes. Approving the treasury report and payment of bills. You all have had those in plenty of time. Revise the salary schedule. We had removed course from the extra service salary schedule because at the time we did not have a performing choir. We currently did have choir this year. There was a performance in the fall, and during the spring there'll be an extra service, more or less after school choir, that they will be working to have a spring performance. So that is back. That person does need to be paid. If they're not going to do choir, we're not going to pay for something that's not done. So. But it is back, and so that is out there. We have also an out-of-state trip with the middle school in terms of a 7th grade trip, and I've reviewed that trip and reviewed the guidelines. I do think it's a good opportunity for our students. It's not a huge cost, and they are already wanting to start fundraising for that if you all will approve it. And my recommendation is approve those consent items.
Do we have a motion? Oh, from, yeah. Do we need to pull it out? Or-
No,
can't
she
vote?
can
Okay,
just, it would be for her, she would abstain from the minutes, and Felicia can indicate that in the motion that if she approves everything else, except she abstaining from the minutes where she didn't attend the meeting. That's normally what you do. So you can do it at one. Things happen.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items.
Do we have a second? Any discussion?
And this is where you
All in
abstain
favor?
from the minutes.
Okay. Any public comments? Okay, moving right along, we have the superintendent's report in the board form.
Public was really quiet.
It was quiet.
You have your notification of personnel actions, and it seems like that gets a little bit longer each time. Of course, we got some new Gear Up jobs and stuff that's coming here in January, and so you have your personnel actions. I think there was at least one retirement this time, so in terms of my activity report, I have it available for you all. That was done at the last minute. But, these are the things that I've been active in this week. Just make sure, guys, that Sheila gets at least one of those. Couple things I'd point out that I really enjoy. November 26th was the Student Advisory Council meeting. I meet with those high school students about at least twice a semester, and brought them to the central office this time. We had lunch and had about an hour and a half discussion, and it's really good. There's been a lot of good ideas that our students have asked for that has came out of those meetings, and that's was really a good event. December 6th was the new hire luncheon. It's always sponsored by Citizens Guarantee Bank, and this year they had us up at the bank, and all the new hires was there, and it was really a nice dinner provided for them for our new teachers. This Project Home meeting on December 12th, a lot of good things I think that's going to come out of our Project Home project with Markham and Wallace Hospital. Eventually, I do think that there'll be some funding that may help us with providing health services to our kids. This focus right now is really on the opioid crisis, which is, we know, is a major problem in eastern Kentucky, but it's really a major problem here in Estill County. And one of the things I learned at that meeting is that Estill County in the state of Kentucky has the highest death rate for drug overdoses in the state of Kentucky. And that's definitely not something you want to be number one in. This group of people that is made up of a lot of different health care providers, mental health providers, a lot of community agencies. Of course, Miss Donna is there as well, and John leads this work at the hospital. I think it's going to be something that's going to provide a lot of insight for our community moving forward. It's in the planning stages this year and moves into some operational pieces here in the next 2 years. So I think that's going to be a big help to our community.
And our VOTEC center will fit right in with all of that.
Yeah, and that education component of that is huge, because as we know, as people are coming off drug addiction, if they're fortunate enough to come out of that without some type of felony charge or something that could be associated with drug abuse, if they're fortunate enough to come out of that, then the training that the new Career Tech Center, Area Technology Center can provide is instrumental, because if we don't give them a job and get them some means to support themselves and get them away from the situation that they're living in, then they're not going to be able to make it. We see it too many times that people relapse into the same habits because they're not able to change their living circumstances. So there's a lot of good stuff going on with that, and I look forward to partnering with them as a school district, and I know the board does as well. The biggest thing on that item is December 17th. We went, Lisa, myself, and Mr. Willis met with the Lexington Community Action Agency on our preschool grant As you know, Kentucky River Foothills is no longer the provider of preschool services. And I think that we have lived on edge now for 6 months trying to figure out what was going on with that. After that meeting, I feel a lot better. I don't have, of course, a nailed down contract with them, but based on our conversations, I know we had about an hour-long conversation. She also then left and went to South Irvin and was very impressed with the facility over there. You know, for a building that was in 1960, the work that you all did, LW, to get the roof on that building with a new cafeteria, having the I guess the sight into the future that building could be a very important part of our school district. And you know, Mr. Hensley and Mr. Christopher was very instrumental in that process. She was impressed with that facility. And you gotta realize that in a lot of these places, the facilities that Head Start have, you know, they have old beat up trailers and everything else trying to provide services to kids. Well, we gotta remember, regardless if they qualify for Head Start or if they're a state agency kid, they're all our kids. All 150, 160 of them's gonna be at Estill Springs next year in kindergarten. So we have to take care of them. And preliminarily, we don't have it in writing, but she feels like that, yes, she can honor the contract that we currently have, so we can keep our 9 preschools that we currently have. Possibly that she will explore also honoring a commitment that we had from Kentucky River Foothills to add a 10th preschool at no cost to our school district. And at the very most, if there is a cost to our school district, it would be to supply an instructional aid. And if we can get 20 more kids in preschool, man, you talking about a boom for our schools, and especially for what that means for Estill Springs, because just remember those numbers. And that's why I wish you had to see, you know, the CSIP for South Urban, because not only does the CSIPs talk about what they need to do, it also tells you where they're at right now. Almost 90% of the kids that go to preschool are kindergarten ready. 47% of the kids that don't go to preschool are not kindergarten ready. Don't think that that doesn't have a big impact on the education that we're able to give our kids. That's a huge meeting. I'm sleeping a little bit better at night now because I don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, the Irvin High night that very night. God, what a great community event that was. And I mean, our band, during the reception, they sneak into the cafeteria there at the high school and they don't know that they're coming. And the next thing you know, they start playing the Urban Hi-Fi song. And you've never seen more people in your life, 70 and 80-year-old people, that tears running down their face, because that was the first time they'd heard that fight song played by a band in over 47 years. And then that night we got to take the floor. The Irvin Golden Eagles took the floor for the first time in 47 years in a basketball game. And man, was I so proud of our students, how they embraced the Urban High graduates. They cheered for the Golden Eagles all night. And I mean, it was just, we couldn't have done anything else in this school district and got more mileage out of that event.
Magical.
It was a magical night. And I mean, people that, I keep getting people coming up to me, and I keep telling everybody, listen, the high school did a tremendous job putting on that event. It wasn't ideal that came from this office, but it was a magical event. I give them all the accolades. It goes to our students, Margaret Wood, our athletic director, Jason Bowles, our band director, Kristen Wilson, who is involved with FCCLA and preparing the meal, and all the other ADs, Mr. Winkler, his staff. What a great job they did. What a great job our students did. And it was just a magical night.
Our kids were so proud.
They really were. And I mean, then the next night we honored Jimmy Bonney as our all-time leading scorer, and you know, and Commissioner Julian Tackett was at an event, and anytime you can get what did I say, Jimmy? Yeah, his daddy didn't score a point that I know of. His daddy probably thought he scored a lot of those points, but I'm sorry, it's Caleb, and sorry for that. And Commissioner Tackett and his wife being there, and I mean, great night. Anytime you get the commissioner of the High School Athletic Association here in our county, it's a great night. So, and then the 19th, we met with the sheriff, the new elected sheriff. I think you're going to be pleased with what's going on there. You've got your energy report. Just a real quick note on that. We are really looking at Estill County High School. Jeremy's in contact with Jackson Energy. We've got to decide if we've got a problem there. It's just a change in weather pattern. A lot of energy usage there that we can't account for. Done already updated the preschool. Talked about Urban High Night. I would say that just for the press and for everybody to know that on January 3rd, we do have a special called board meeting, and that meeting we will set the meeting dates for the coming year. We'll elect the officers for the board, we'll elect the officers for the finance corporation, we'll review the district mission and vision statements, and probably have a short executive session, but that's on January 3rd, and we'll welcome 2 new board members. Welcome Ms. Sheila. Talked to Brian, and Brian says that he has made arrangements to be here on the 3rd, so we'll move forward. And LW, my last comments would be that, man, thank you for your service, and we'll miss you, and you know that you're always welcome at our board meetings, and welcome. You're still a parent in this school system, and we honor your service to this board, and I thank you very much. And I thank you on a personal level that when somebody like me was looking for a superintendent's job, you took a chance on me. And I appreciate that very much on a personal level from the bottom of my heart. That's it for the superintendent's report.
Anything from the board members? No less words, Elder? We need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?